Hakeem Jeffries just endorsed Zohran Mamdani in the race for mayor, just one day before early voting starts citywide. The endorsement
He should have just kept it in the pocket.
is the latest show of support for the Democratic Assemblyman from Queens. Mamdani, who remains the frontrunner in the polls, has been seeking Jeffries' endorsement since the two met in person over the summer. Mamdani has already earned endorsements from New York Governor Hochul, Bronx Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, and from other high-profile politicians like Bernie Sanders. Meanwhile, on Thursday, his opponent, former Governor Andrew Cuomo, picked up a key endorsement from outgoing Mayor Eric Adams. We'll have much more on these endorsements tonight.
Key endorsement for the guy who had to drop out because he was so fucking unimaginably unpopular. What a key. Yeah, this is hours before Jeffries officially endorsed, by the way. This is a cover your ass endorsement. Yeah. He just, God, he is such a rapacious dick rider of Israel. Is crazy.
New York City's next mayor, House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, appears poised to finally make a decision about endorsing Democratic nominee Zohran Mamdani, who won the nomination on the Democratic side in July. Jeffries tells reporters that he intends on making his thoughts clear on the race after dodging questions on the matter for weeks. NBC News national political correspondent, of course, is Steve Kornacki, and he's joining us now. Steve, I'm glad you're here for this conversation. Mamdani is a self-described Democratic socialist. How does he fit into how New Yorkers and Americans feel about this idea of socialism?
Yeah, it's an interesting question, Peter. I think we kind of look at New York City and we say, well, politically, culturally, New York City is kind of different than America as a whole. But how about New York City and the National Democratic Party is what's happening in this mayoral election where the Democratic candidate, Zohran Mamdani, continues to...
Wow. Harry Emden has made waves in this community. So much so that people go, where is Holy Toledo? Not realizing that Steve Kornacki was the OG. Steve Kornacki was the OG, dude. This is the OG Holy Toledo. Henry Emden, as Donald Trump likes to call him, is the newer version. This is the OG Toledo.
To lead in the polls, benefits from
Steve Kornacki with the khaki.
Divided opposition, unpopular opponents, where he continues to be the favorite to win here. Does that say anything more broadly than New York City about the Democratic Party nationally and its attitudes towards socialism? Socialism, which we used to, not that long ago think would be politically the kiss of death to be associated with. Well, take a look here at some numbers from Gallup, because Gallup has been testing this for years, for decades, really. Basic attitudes towards socialism and capitalism. These are the latest numbers that they came up with. Overall, asking folks, do you have a positive view of socialism? 39% of Americans said yes. 54% said they had a positive view of capitalism. But look at the party split here among Democrats. Look at socialism. That's nationally again. 2/3 of Democrats nationally, not talking New York City, but across the country, say to Gallup they have a favorable, positive view of socialism. Only 42%.
We got to go higher, baby. We got to go higher. Let's be real. Independents at 38%, Democrats at 66%, Republicans at 14%. Very strange. But, we'll keep pushing. Every time I feel bad, when people go, Hasan, how do you keep pushing? How do you keep going? Every time I feel bad, I look at numbers like this, okay? And I go, hey, things can get better, okay? Especially when you judge it by how shitty things have been.
Of capitalism. And take a look here. Independents, Republicans, it is different. Slight majority of independents favorable toward capitalism. 3/4 of Republicans favorable towards capitalism. Well under 50% in each case favorable to socialism. Now, this trend among Democrats nationally also, it's not new. This has been building for some time here. Again, from these Gallup numbers, take a look at this. Start on capitalism. Go back to 2010 here. Democrats were basically split then, 15 years ago. Positive, negative on capitalism. And look at that number. It kind of stayed steady. And then in the last 5 years, it's fallen down to 42%, barely over 40%. And in that same time, take a look at what's happened with socialism. Again, Democratic Party attitudes here. 2010, it was 50-50. It's ticked up. And now in the last couple of readouts, 2/3 of Democrats saying they have a positive image of socialism. So if Mamdani is successful, Peter, in New York City, I think one of the things you might say is it's not a revelation necessarily that socialism, that his brand of socialism might be palatable to some Democrats. It might just be further confirmation of what polling has actually been telling us for some time now, not just in New York.
Yeah, that much more striking, though, of course, New York being, in effect, the epicenter of capitalism in our country and could have someone like Zohran Mamdani running the city before we know it. Steve Kornacki, always good to have you. Thanks for your expertise here.
Okay, so Jeffries endorses Mamdani with the enthusiasm of a pout and crossed arms, says Prem Talker, going off of his words. In a statement to the New York Times, Mr. Jeffries acknowledged that the two men had areas of principled disagreement. But he said that Mr. Mamdani had won a fair and free election in the Democratic primary and emphasized that the party needed to unite in the face of an existential threat from Trump. Zohran Mamdani has relentlessly focused on addressing the affordability crisis and explicitly committed to being a mayor for all New Yorkers, including those who do not support his candidacy, Mr. Jeffries wrote. He added, in that spirit, I support him and the entire citywide Democratic ticket in the general election. So after spending a good deal of time being like, oh, man, I don't know if I want to do this. Oh, man, oh, brother, he finally took the time out to be like, I'm going to get cooked if I don't do this. Okay. Here is what he was saying beforehand.
You're easing into, so that's what Mamdani, A equals B equals C. That's what he stands for. Therefore, you're endorsing Mamdani. Is that, have I got that?
No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. But what I will say is that I do think that he took an important step in indicating he plans to retain Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch, who's doing a great job by all accounts.
You're easing into, so that's what Mamdani.
This worries me. This worries me about the Jessica Tisch as commissioner position even more. I don't want Hakeem Jeffries to be comfortable. I want him to be uncomfortable. I would rather not get his endorsement. If Hakeem Jeffries is agreeing with any of your decisions, then you might be fucking up. When asked why he has refused to endorse Mamdani, Hakeem Jeffries replies, I have not refused to endorse. I have refused to articulate my position.
Why are you refusing to endorse? I have not refused to endorse. I have refused to articulate my position, and I will momentarily at some point in advance of early voting.
That's so awesome. I've refused to articulate my position is one of the funnier responses I've seen from a position. Jeffries has managed the very possible. Piss off your anti-Mamdani donors by endorsing and piss off your voters by waiting until the last second to do it. Bullshit. You cry if he did. You cry if he didn't. You cry if he did early. You cry if he did late. Don't you think everybody knows you by now? Says Gordon Shumway. Cameron responds, you're right. If Jeffries had endorsed the Democratic nominee early, I would have likely cried about it. I'm sorry to have suggested otherwise. Yeah, it would have been a real shame if one of the leaders of the Democratic Party endorsed the winner of the Democratic mayoral race's primaries, as he is expected to do, especially more ridiculous considering that his district is in the fucking city. There is a 135-day difference between when Jeffries endorsed Eric Adams, who won the primaries by a much smaller margin than Zohran Mamdani, versus Zohran Mamdani in 2025. 135-day difference. I wonder what that was about.